So this knife is tiny. You may be asking, is this too small? But the real question is this too small for the task that I'm using it for? Welcome back everybody, and welcome to the channel. We have our first knife right here, the Smith Wesson point folding knife. Here it is a drop point silver skeletonized knife. Crack this thing open and see what it looks like. Oh, it slid right out of the plastic. And that's it. We have the drop point silver skeletonized knife from Smith & Wesson. And damn, it's pretty. That's nice. All right, so it does have the little thumb stubs right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can open it. Oh, that's snappy. All right, and this series right here has it on the blade. It's called the CK400. It's the CK400 series, and this specific knife is the CK400 0522. If you could see right here. CK400 0522. And over here, it has Smith & Wesson on the side. All right, so let's get into this knife. It's a skeletonized knife, and if you look real closely, the skeleton actually folds inward to lock the blade in place. And if you notice, the blade is very sturdy. There's no wiggle room at all to this blade. I did have a falcon knife before this. I actually lost it, hence the reason for buying this knife. Anyway, I had a falcon and the blade would wiggle every once in a while, and you would have to tighten these little screws to keep everything tight. But so far, there's absolutely no wiggle in this Smith & Wesson drop point knife. Now, going back to the skeletonized body, you can see it slightly curves in, and the belt buckle is actually the part that you'll be gripping onto. And it feels pretty natural to the hand. It is very small, hence the topic of the thumbnail. It's really small and it feels like a baby knife, if that even makes sense. It feels smaller than a paring knife, but we'll get into that. So to close this knife, you basically just need to push the skeletonized frame back out. And it's a very rigid push. And then you close the blade just like that. And it's a very nice snap. It seats very well. It pops out very well. You push down the skeleton on this side right here, really hard, close that knife, and it seats back down. Now, there are cool things about this knife, and there are also negative things about this knife that I will get into. All right, oh shit. I do want to point out that this is a drop point knife, meaning that when you open the knife, there is a spine from the bottom all the way to the tip of the blade. In other words, the blade will slope off of the spine from the back of the knife all the way to the tip. The blade will slope off and will lead from the thickness of the spine. Other knives may not have this. They may be two-sided knives and other things like that. But in this case specifically, this would be a drop point knife. This is a drop point knife, but there are also many different types of knives as well. For example, we have the pen knife, we have the tanto point knife, we have a clip point knife, and something even called a spear point knife. And those aren't even all the different types of knives there are. I believe there's even one called a needle point knife. And every different type of knife there is comes with a different specification of how the blade operates. So that's just something you want to keep in mind moving forward when you want to buy a certain knife and what use you have in mind for it. So moving right along, the things I like about this knife is that it's very lightweight, easy to carry. You close it in your palms. Nobody would even know you have this knife in your hand. Easy to put into your pockets. You know, it has a really sturdy clip on there. It's made out of stainless steel. It's made out of gray stainless steel The clip is a skeletonized handle. It has a really nice ambidextrous thumb knob, so if you're left-handed, you can still deploy the blade. I'm not really left-handed, so it's harder. You can still deploy the blade from the left side, close it up, and you can still deploy the blade from the right side with the ambidextrous thumb knob. That's really cool. And the blade is high carbon stainless steel. So that's just another level, I'm sure, to prevent rusting and things like that. You guys tell me what the high carbon part of stainless steel is for. Now, the drawbacks on this knife, I have to say, is the size. It took me a full day to learn how to deploy this knife because it's so tiny. I don't have particularly large hands, but even for me, it was really hard. You literally have to hug the side of the knife like this. Your pinky is kind of free floating, and you have to push down on the knob and, you know, get a deploy. Now I'm failing because I'm trying to explain. And then you get a deploy on the knife. It's really hard for probably typically any male to you know, just want to access this knife really quickly. You might want a bit of a bigger knife. The blade itself is only 2.2 inches long, which doesn't bother me. It's just the frame of the knife itself is a little bit past that. I would say 2.4 inches long, which is good and bad. It's good for concealability, throw it in your pocket, easy, it's just there. But at the same time, if you just want to one-handedly deploy it, it's a little difficult. I have gotten pretty used to it. So, you know, with some practice, you can get around that issue. It's just, you know, it's a bit of a pain to figure out where to place your hands as opposed to like a really big knife. Another drawback from this knife that I found is that if you look really closely, there is a bit of a chip, an indent in the blade, if you will. Now, I am 80% sure that is because when I seat this knife down quickly, it bumps into the bar at the back. So if that's the case, that's just a design flaw, and I wish they would, you know, space it a little bit more so that the little indent wouldn't show. Let me get closer and show you a better look. There's an indent right there, and you can see it if you focus. That's another issue with the knife that I don't like. I will be sharpening it and buffing that little dent out, and we'll see if it happens again. If it's a repeat occurrence, then I know that there is an issue with the piece of metal that it's seating on. But right now, I really can't tell. I just really can't tell. It doesn't seem like it's touching, but it's the only logical thing that can explain this indent when I haven't used this knife yet. Like, I haven't used it seriously, you know what I mean? All right. Other than that, I really like the knife. I think that, to answer your question, does size matter? I think you can get over the size with a little bit of practice, but me personally, I would still prefer a knife with a bit of a bigger blade. I think Smith Wesson did a really good job at pinpointing the target of what they wanted for this knife. It's small, you can throw it in your pocket, you can cut some string, you can, you know, you can take it out, and you can, you know, basically take your time to use such a knife. This is not a knife that you want to use for self-defense situations or anything where you would want to hurry, take it out really quickly and get this blade deployed very quickly. This is not one of those knives. This is definitely just a knife for utility, in my opinion. This is strictly a utility knife. You know, you can use two hands to go ahead and open the blade, use two hands to go ahead and close it. It will take a little bit of time to deploy, but the good part about this is that it's tiny and you can put it anywhere, almost forget about it, and it'll always be there for you, just not in a self-defense option. So I hope that helped you guys in terms of, you know, picking out your first knives. I definitely do need to go get another knife for, you know, just basic self-defense and just something to have on me. But yeah, this is the CK400 in all its glory. I will get the big brother to this back on the channel as soon as I can, so look out for that. And have a great day, y'all. Stay safe.